Okay, should be recording now.
Lovely.
Awesome. I just want to say thanks for hopping on.
The pleasure.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll just get straight into the questions.
Go for it.
Okay. What was it like being on, what's it like being, or for you to be on a movie set?
On a movie set, just generally, not any particular one.
No, no,
So
just genuinely.
just just general. I do you know what? After all these years, I still get a buzz out of it. So whether that's a small independent film or a great big studio production, um, obviously it's the same, just bigger. You still need a certain amount of crew, however small it is. But I like looking at the art, especially if it's a film set in another period to our own. I love the detail in what the art department do. I find makeup and costume fascinating.
Yeah,
Um, I always feel with acting, we're lucky enough that we all get a bit of downtime. The crew are pretty much, constantly on, but I do enjoy, oops, husband walking past for a minute, but
that's right.
I do enjoy the social aspect as well. I mean, our work does mean that we get to meet different people, you know, on every job. So, and I do like people.
Yeah,
So getting to know new people is always a positive side of that. Um, but obviously we all like acting, so that's why we do it.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. How old were you when you watched your first horror movie?
Well, I was trying to think about this. You mentioned that. I kind of would class the first film that I was frightened of was The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah,
Now, that's not a horror film. However, when you're a child, that Green Witch absolutely terrified me. And I was so scared that I used to manage to have dreams where the witch was like I couldn't escape her. And in some ways, I felt that came into real life, that once it became that you could watch it on the telly, it just seemed to be on every Christmas or whatever
yeah,
when I was, but I couldn't not watch it. So I think children are drawn to scary things.
yeah.
How old I was, I really don't remember. I wasn't very old, probably 6, 7, I don't know. Young enough that the witch freaked the bejeebus out of me.
Yeah.
She still does. I still think she's the best witch, the original.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I do remember another one, sorry,
No, that's
that
right.
I shouldn't have watched, that I found very unsettling, even though it's very funny, was Barbarella.
Oh yeah,
Do you know Barbarella?
I don't.
Mm. It's a sort of very campy, don't know, 60s, 70s maybe film with Jane Fonda.
Oh,
Bit sci-fi, but a bit horror. Well, it's not horror. Looking back, it is really not horror, but there was some dolls with very sharp teeth. And I saw it on the black and white telly. And again, I wasn't supposed to be watching. I managed to, well, with Wizard of Oz, they did know I was watching it. But so I went to the cinema, I think. Oh, no, I couldn't have gone to the cinema. I'd have been too young. Anyway, I digress. I was very frightened by the dolls with the sharp teeth.
how was it working with the cast and crew for Winnie 2?
So with Winnie 2, I was there right towards the end. I knew obviously Scott was a great friend of mine, so that's just kind of familiar and a joy.
Yeah,
The same with Reese. I knew Vince, I knew our DOP, so I knew a lot of the crew. So the only other actor in my scenes was Alex, who played my husband, who's great, and a bit like you're saying about the first, with your first question, what is it we like about being on set? Getting to know Alex was great.
yeah,
We had lots to chat about. Ryan, I didn't meet him to really talk to because he was getting made up and his makeup took a really long time. So we didn't get to chat much. And then we had little Thea, the little girl in our scene. But again,
Mm,
she's a child. So, there's a
yeah,
certain amount of saying hello. But so really, it was just nice to spend a bit of time with Scott and Alex.
yeah. What's your favorite horror movie of all time?
This is a toughie, isn't it? Well, I think I've said before, and I still stand by that The Exorcist is
Yeah.
a sort of a bit of a master one for me. I think because it's like a play, well, I've seen it as a play actually. I'd read the book, obviously, years ago. I think the film, despite the fact that probably an audience now would think it's probably tame, it certainly wasn't when it came out.
Yeah.
And again, I was quite youngish when I saw it, and I was just like, oh, we'd never seen anything like that before. So I suppose often when it's your first hardcore horror that you've really seen, it stays with you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's a good dialogue heavy, solid drama piece as well.
yeah.
And I love all the stories that you read about the making of it, which are
Mm,
all, but there are others that are probably, yeah, there's lots of others, but I still feel that that's probably in my heart the one that stands out.
yeah. Um, if there was anyone you'd like to work with in the future, who would that be?
Um, I would love to do a Tarantino film
Yeah.
if I could. He just writes the most amazing dialogue. I mean, I
Mm.
would have said David Lynch, but sadly, I was a big David Lynch fan.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah, I love Tarantino's films, all of them.
yeah.
Mm.
What's your favorite movie you've been in?
Hmm. This is a tricky one. I think, do you mean as far as what film I enjoy doing, what role I enjoy doing, or what cast because they're all different.
Um,
What do you think? I could give you a bit of both, I guess.
yeah, that'll be alright.
I think, yeah, I think as far as roles are concerned, I love it when it's a really naturalistic heavy drama. So probably the two that I'm thinking of, you wouldn't know, they're quite independent. There was one called Verity's Summer, probably about 11 years ago, which was the story of my husband who was out in Afghanistan during the war.
Fine.
And I never really know exactly what did he do. And it's also a coming of age story for the daughter. So it's my husband, myself, and the daughter, and it's a family film. Well, it's not a family film, it's a film about a family
Yeah,
and the dynamics.
yeah.
So, and then there's another one I did that was based on a true story called Albarosa when there was a woman whose husband was killed during the terrorist attack in Tunisia what was it, 10 years ago now, on the beach when the people were killed by gunfire. And she, it's the film is the story of the aftermath and how she doesn't deal with the grieving process. So again, a heavy drama-led piece or character-driven piece
Yeah,
for work-wise, I really enjoy,
yeah.
even though they're heavy subjects. But then cast-wise, it would probably be maybe a series because I've been, if it's a series, you're on it for a much longer time than a film. Well, not always, but I have been. So then you build up real camaraderie with the people that you're with.
Yeah.
And then I've had some great times on some of Scott's horrors with, fun casts, but they're maybe very short, I
Mm,
think Bambi is probably one of the longest ones we did of 10 days. So that was a fab cast that we got to spend, I've got to hang out with a lot.
Yeah, that's all right. Was it scary being on the set, like when you saw Ryan Oliver for the first time in character?
Not really. I mean, he's imposing because he is very tall.
Yeah.
But he could still speak underneath the prosthetics, and he's not, he's sort of lovely and friendly.
Mm.
So as yeah, no, he and I actually don't find Winnie so scary. I didn't see the others. I never in Winnie. I didn't see Piglet or Owl or any of the others. I I think maybe or Tigger. I
Yeah.
suspect they might look a bit more scary. I don't personally find Winnie too scary, even though Winnie got the better of me and killed me. I should be scared, shouldn't I?
Um,
But because I think he's standing up with a pair of dungarees on,
mm.
he's 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 kind of. I mean, the prosthetics are amazing, but yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not scary for me.
He certainly does look pretty scary when he just all the blood in that movie. It's yeah.
Oh yeah, that well, yes. I've been surrounded by blood in the I think yeah, there was a lot of blood. And do you
Why do
know what I
you?
think
Oh,
I actually found more unpleasant was because I really can't bear anything to do with eyes.
mm, yeah,
And in that movie, the knife obviously goes into, well, it's not really a spoiler because it's been out for a year or more, so I can talk about it.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
knife does go into my eye. So even though they're fake, the fact that you've got to go quite near, I found far more stressful than looking at Ryan. And then they realized that actually they couldn't get the knife going in my eye, obviously.
mm,
So later on, when we were filming Bambi and they reviewed some of the edit, they decided to do a pickup. And the SFX have made amazing fake eyeballs of my
yeah,
eye. And then they had them positioned over a mold of my face that had come from the original when they had to take it for the prosthetic. So they made a mold of my face and put the eye in. And then I literally watched it being properly pierced with a knife and the blood all dripping down. I found that much more disturbing.
yeah. That would be sure.
Yeah.
Why do you think people love coming back to watch horror movies?
What do I think? What? Sorry, I missed that
Oh,
bit.
why do you think people love coming back watching horror movies?
I think people love, well, they do like to be scared. We all know that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
not everybody, but if you go and watch them, you clearly do. Just the same as you might enjoy going on a roller coaster. There's a sort of slight adrenaline rush. And I think the best thing about horrors is often if you're watching them with somebody else.
yeah,
So there's that
definitely.
shared experience, whether it's shared squealing and then laughing at your friend because they've screamed very loudly, or
Yeah,
I mean, there's a difference with horrors, horrors like Winnie, which are clearly there to have a few laughs as well as the screams.
mm,
And then you've got your darker horrors, which there isn't any laughter at all.
no,
Like The Exorcist, but I mean, that's an old one, but there's plenty of others we can think of. So I think, yeah, if you're a true horror fan, you appreciate all the different types, although you might lean towards a certain type, like even like a genre of music. You might prefer, I don't know, found footage and paranormal ones, or you might prefer a slasher, but you'll still appreciate them all.
yeah,
And I think talking about them afterwards, I think that brings people, people feel they've missed out, bit of FOMO if they haven't seen the latest horror.
yeah.
Even if you don't think it was any good, still something to talk about.
I don't. Yeah, I have to catch up on a lot of horror movies because I haven't been watching many of them lately.
Yeah, I've seen a few this year.
Yeah.
But none that stood out hugely last year. I saw a really good one in last year that's from India, if anyone gets a chance to see it, called Sister Midnight.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that one. I haven't watched
Really
it,
good.
so yeah,
Mm.
that's awesome. What made you start becoming an actress?
It's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't really ever think of anything else. My mother had been an actress,
Oh, yeah.
so it wasn't like the maddest idea in the world
Mm,
in my house.
yeah,
And I wasn't told that that was a stupid idea or, get a proper job. It was just, right, well, wait your turn and do your education first and then if you still want to do it when you leave school, fair enough.
yeah.
So I never had a backup plan. That was it
Mm,
for me. Mm.
yeah, okay. What is your favorite thing about being on any movie set?
I think, like I said, the favorite thing, well, I suppose acting, but being with people.
Yeah.
It's a very Yeah, it is a very social job.
Mm. I think I put that question in twice, actually.
Mm,
Whoops.
all right.
Do you ever enjoy watching yourself on a cinema screen in the movies, in the movie theaters?
I I don't mind one way or the other. I mean, I'm not one of those that goes, oh, I can't watch myself. I will watch. It depends on the job. Sometimes I might think, oh, oh dear, about something. And sometimes I look back and think, yeah, that wasn't bad. You did all right there. But generally, I can sort of switch off and just watch it, and I'm watching everything else. I mean, I think it's a lie to say we don't critique ourselves the first time we watch it.
Mm,
And half the time it comes from sometimes just a vanity thing where you go, oh God, I look dreadful in that, or why did I do that at that point? And then you probably need to watch it a second time just to kind of forget that you're watching you and just watch the whole thing properly.
yeah. What was it like having to do all the makeup for Winnie?
You know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. I had a um, full cast done of my face probably about 4 months before, 3 months before we filmed. And I thought I might find it a bit more claustrophobic, but actually the way things have changed over or got better over the years, you haven't got to have that cast on your face for as long as I suspect they used to
Mm,
before it sets. It's much quicker drying. You just got the things like your nose to help you breathe. I just kind of went into a bit of a zen moment and it was fine. And then as far as putting it on then, it's probably about 2 hours.
right.
Um,
That's not too bad.
it's not too bad. I mean, some people sit in the chair for
Mm,
hours having it done. The worst part about it was because it was over my eyes, I couldn't really see. So once it was
yeah.
on, I had to be led to set and placed down in position and just kind of do it blind. But we were near the end of the shoot anyway. Time was running out, as is often the way. So we did it pretty quickly. I didn't
Yeah.
have to be. The worst thing is getting it all off, to be honest.
Mm, yeah.
Mm, lots of baby oil and find little bits of sort of silicone and yuck in your
Yeah.
skin and hairline for ages after.
I think it's the same. Is it the same with the fake blood? I think that's hard to get off too.
It depends
What?
on the fake blood.
Yeah.
There's very many degrees of fake blood, and the
Mm,
more expensive stuff comes off a lot easier.
yeah.
Mm.
It's all right. Do you have
It's
any?
more that it's sticky while you've got it on you. Getting it
Yeah,
off's not
yeah.
the end of the world, but actually working with it, it's very, very sticky.
Mm. Yeah.
Quite unpleasant.
Yeah. Do you have any stories of your own about being on any like movie set that you'd like to share with us on the podcast?
I was thinking about this many, many years ago. I mean, I'm sure I've got loads of stories, but I couldn't really sort of think straight away. But then I remembered when I was on Top Secret, which was one of the first big films I ever did, which was the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams were part of the Airplane. They did Airplane.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the comedy Airplane? And there was this scene set in a pizza house, and because they are really into their visual jokes and they spark off each other. To have three directors is very unusual. They spark off each other. They come up with a great idea. They think, "Wow, that's really funny. Okay, let's implement that." And so they came up with the idea. It hadn't been pre-planned, of the fact that the cheese of the pizza stretchy, that then it would get bigger and bigger, and we'd all get tangled up these stretchiness.
Yeah.
But that hadn't been decided. This was just an idea that came to them. So then I don't remember how many days, but basically we were stood down, we were just hanging around while the art department solved that. So we got extra days out of it. That was
Oh yeah.
marvelous, getting paid to just wait while the cheese is being stretched or created. Yeah. So that was a good first big film job.
Oh yeah.
That was with Val Kilmer, who was delightful.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Have you ever been to Australia?
I have 4 times.
Yep.
I've got family. Well, there's not many of them left, sadly. But my dad's sister married an Australian, so my cousins are Australian, and
Oh yeah.
so they live in, or they were living in, they were brought up in Sydney. So we've been to Sydney, and then when my aunt and uncle passed away, one of them still lives in Newcastle. And then when we went to Melbourne and up to Stradbroke.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you enjoy being on camera in like any movies?
Do I enjoy being on camera?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a different question? How do I think I read that question, and I was thinking I'm not quite sure how, as in that is we are on camera as the job, but I don't think but I don't, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Compared
yeah.
to being on stage?
Yeah,
No?
yeah. Yeah, like that. Like, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the difference, what I do enjoy about being on camera, I mean, I love stage as well. I've done, many theatre jobs, and I love it. And there's an adrenaline you get from theatre, which maybe you don't always get from being on camera, but on camera, it will pick up the tiniest thing.
Mm.
So just being as truthful as you can, which is hard with horror, because obviously that's what when you said what are the favorite films I've been in, that I chose them because I personally like to do very grounded, truthful, natural performances.
Yeah.
Horror does require a bit bigger, maybe.
Mm. Yeah.
But the camera picks up everything, and that's what I love about the camera, is just a tiny twitch of a muscle in your face or something, or a little movement can say so much.
Mm. Yeah.
It's those nuances that I like about camera.
Do you have anything you'd like to promote on here? Or?
Oh, to promote, well, Bambi the Reckoning.
Yep. I have to check that one out
Um,
too.
yeah, it's not out yet. You'll have to
Oh, is it?
wait.
Oh, okay. Yep.
No, 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 no. So Winnie 2 obviously is out, and Peter Pan
Yep.
is out. And then Bambi we filmed a year ago, and that will be the next one. And Yes, so as far as promoting, it would be Bambi, The Reckoning. Um, and there's a good film out as well called The Monster Beneath Us. That's a Victorian sort of gothic. I wouldn't say horror. It's more of a psychological horror. Sort of
Yep.
there is a horror element to it. But we shot that a year ago, and that's done well in some festivals and is now available.
Oh, yeah.
But Bambi will be a big one. And then the Pooniverse will be shooting at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah. I have
Mm.
to definitely check Bambi out when it comes out, and then yeah, the other one
Yes,
for sure.
please do. And you can have
Yeah.
me back on and I'll talk about Bambi.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
That's a pleasure. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah. Nice to see you too.
And you can well, yeah, you're going to start your day, aren't you? I'm going to go to bed now.
Sorry for keeping
All
you up so
right.
late.
No, honestly, it's not that late. It's 10:30. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I've been filming today, so yeah, be glad to just go and
Crash.
crash.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, keep me posted, and I shall,
Yep.
as I said, ask me anytime. I'm always up for a chat.
Yep. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for that.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye bye.
See ya. Take care.